Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Beem and Dean Show, episode 76 already on this December 18th, with the hardest working man in Fresno, the sports director, KSEE24 CBS47, the voice of the FPU Sunbirds, and the voice of the FCC Rams, Scott Bemis. I am just humbly Dean Schiro. Scotty, here we are. We're at the college football bowl season now, and we've got the playoffs coming up. Thoughts?
It's the most wonderful time of year, right, Dean?
It is.
I think some of the bowl games have kind of fallen off a little bit. I mean, I'm sure when you were a kid or growing up, you and me both, we did it here at work at one point. Remember the days of the bowl pools and all that stuff?
Absolutely. We used to do one.
We used to do it. It kind of feels like that's gone away for some reason. And that's sad that that's happened. And so some of these lesser bowls, I think, are kind of getting diminished a little bit. But we've got the playoff here on Friday.
Right.
And so that's going to be awesome. You know, you start off with Alabama and Oklahoma.
Yes.
You know, I heard somebody say this. And the only reaction I had was I totally agreed with them. It feels like the best game, I think, of the four, at least on paper, Miami against A&M, is stuck at 9 a.m. on Saturday for some reason.
I don't know why they did that either. And also, I think the second best game is tomorrow night. So, yeah, we're going to get into all that in just a second. So we've got a huge NFL game. We got some ramifications, quote unquote, on that one. You like that? And then we're getting teaser happy here in the Fresno Clovis area. So with that being said, let's come in hot. All right, Scotty, before we get to college football and the ramifications of tonight, let's talk a little about the NBA Cup that just happened. So we had the Knicks beating the Spurs in an exciting game. I thought the NBA Cup was great. I liked it. I've liked it all these years they've done it, but you have a couple ideas of what you think, you're passionate about this. What can they do to improve it?
All right, let's come in hot, right?
Let's do it.
No animation?
All right, I'll do it. Hang on. We're going to do it one more time. Let's come in hot on this again.
Come on, this is a high-level production here, Dean.
Here we go.
Me getting teaser happy in the Fresno Clovis area.
Here we go. We're coming in hot, part two.
Scotty, it's the holidays.
Scotty,
right?
let's
There's
do it.
There's a lot going on. I'm thinking about buying gifts.
NBA Cup, go. Your floor's yours.
Cup. Here we go. We're in a goofy mood today,
we
aren't we? Yeah.
We're silly.
All right, well, here's my thoughts on the NBA Cup, right? I like it. Okay, I'm not saying that it's the greatest thing in the world or that it's a huge success or anything or that it's like, carrying the prestige or anywhere even close to what it means to win an NBA title or even the NBA playoffs.
Sure.
But I like that the NBA is stepping out of the box, doing things a little differently, trying some things. And they're going to fail with some of these things. They're going to take a bunch of criticism. There's a lot of talk this week. I mean, one well-known sports talk radio host who goes by the nickname of Mad Dog, for example, has just been ripping the NBA Cup and, the celebration involved with the NBA Cup. Okay, I sort of get it. Like, maybe it's a little too much with the trophy and the confetti and the hats and all that stuff, right, out on the floor for winning the NBA Cup. But what do you want the NBA to do, Dean? They're trying to promote this. They're trying to market this. And so they're trying to make it feel kind of big. And so, I mean, we see all the time in college basketball, teams win 2 games to win the Paradise Jam down in Puerto Rico or the, whatever it is, the Sunshine Showdown in Florida, where they literally have to win 2 games. And they're out there celebrating with hats and cigars and or whatever else is going on. It means something to win a championship, no matter what it is. Sure, it doesn't compare to an NBA title. I'm not even trying to say that. But I like what the NBA has done. And if you use me as a case study.
Yeah.
Was it Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. I went to Amazon Prime, which is hard for me because I have to take a moment to get onto the streaming service, go off my basic cable to check in on the fourth quarter of the NBA Cup. And that's with no vested interest from a wagering point of view.
Fair enough.
And I watched pretty much the whole fourth quarter of the NBA Cup game final between the Knicks and the Spurs.
Likewise.
And I think you see it, the players care. So if the players care about it, why are we knocking this? I mean, let it kind of breathe for a little bit, for a few more years. I'm sure they're going to do some tweaks to it. I read some things this week that I thought could be kind of cool with regards to the NBA Cup. They're thinking about maybe moving the final out of Las Vegas or the semis out of Vegas and the final out of Vegas.
And putting it where?
They're thinking about maybe doing some of these games at big time historic college basketball arenas.
Okay. Maybe like Hinkle, Hinkle Fieldhouse at Butler University.
Or, Cameron Indoor Stadium at Duke, or Allen Fieldhouse at Kansas.
Allen, that's a good one.
Or maybe you get real creative and you
go Save Mart Center, Fresno.
Save Mart Center, Fresno, or you put it outdoors in a football stadium.
Oh, there you go. On an aircraft carrier.
Or an aircraft, to be a little different, right?
Yeah.
I think one thing, I like the NBA being creative. I like them at least trying things. I'm not gonna rush to judgment on it. I think people are showing a little bit of interest in it, but it could take some time, could take some tweaks before it kind of really settles in as some. Not trying to compare it to like winning an NBA title or anything, but the players cared about this.
Yeah, well, they had a vested interest.
They have a vested interest.
They get bonuses.
They do, but what you see, I think, from a lot of the star players is why that's so important for them to win that bonus. And you heard Jalen Brunson talk about this after they won it, is that he shares that money then with the staff and the two-way guys.
Love it.
Right? The guys who aren't making huge money.
Or the reserves on the bench who are maybe making the league minimum, right?
Exactly.
They're teammates, right? That's being a good teammate. So even though you're making millions and millions, the guy on the bench isn't. So this is a big deal to him to get that kind of money, right? So I like what they're doing. The better game you missed, though, was Saturday night. It was the Thunder and Spurs. That game was fantastic from start to finish. So, but it was really, really good. I like it too. Anything else they could do with it, maybe to kind of spice up the playoffs, like maybe an advantage, like. Last night was the Survivor finale on CBS 47, and, the players get an advantage sometimes. How about maybe an advantage for the Knicks going into the playoffs? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the NBA could look at that. I don't know if they have to do it necessarily with the NBA Cup, per se, but I could... It starts to get kind of complicated, so you want to keep things simple in some way, but I do like some kind of system where maybe you get a bonus, for winning a certain segment of the NBA schedule, or maybe the last segment of the schedule, since people have been known to tank or not really put their best foot forward as an organization to try to win games in recent years in the NBA. I mean, one thing that the NBA Cup I think needs to find a way to do is to somehow make these games stand out a little bit more, because it does kind of get lost. I'll be the first to admit, like the round robin pool play games, I wasn't aware all the time that they were going on. I do like the fact that they make the courts different and all that stuff, because it does, you go, this is an NBA Cup game. I get it. This is, kind of a meaningful game. My thought might be one of two ideas. Either maybe you take like 5 big days on the NBA calendar, whether it's Christmas Day, Martin Luther King, President's Holiday, some of those days in January and February where you're kind of getting away from football, you're not competing on a Sunday or this and that, and you make those kind of NBA Cup days. And pretty much everybody plays cup games on those days. Or you take everybody, you take the pool of 6.
Okay.
And you play a single elimination bracket with 6, maybe based on previous standings, that the top 2 in the previous year's standings get seeds through the first round.
Yeah.
And you send them all to one of those historic college basketball arenas, say like Hinkle Fieldhouse, for a week.
I like it.
And they play, there's 2 semifinal games the first day. Maybe they get a day off. Then they get 2 semifinals, 2 more games. And then you play the championship game. And the other teams could play too, right? To keep the schedule maintenance, sort of like a consolation bracket, but they would count as regular season NBA games, the teams that are losing.
Right.
But that way, it's a one and done scenario earlier in the because that's what I think they're trying to get is the urgency of the college basketball tournament with this, right? The NBA in-season tournament. And so, maybe do that. Maybe do you send everybody to Hinkle Fieldhouse or that group. Maybe it's 6 teams, right? And you play a 6-team bracket, single elimination, at that site during that week. And then there's 1 week there, and then there's the other week where you play the quarterfinals at a site, or the 8 teams who advance, or however you want to work it out.
Right.
The 6 teams who advance, 5, whatever it is.
I like it. All right, well, like I said, I think it's a good thing. I mean, Emirates sponsors it, so I'm sure the NBA, gets their money from Emirates as well, which is a nice infuse of funds. So kudos to, I enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. So let me get to mine now. So we had another college football coach fired for cause this week. It was Brian Smith from Ohio. Some serious accusations there, Scotty. I guess my question, what's going on in college football with some of these leaders of men at this point? Yes, I know it's the wild, wild west, and I know there's a lot going on. There's a lot of money floating from here and there, but this is the second coach now in 2 weeks that's got some major issues, behavioral issues, where it affects the entire university, where the university called it a detriment to the university, So obviously, I just want to know what the heck's going on. I know it's a small, it's a small sample size, but it's still a decent sample size for Division I. What is going on with college football?
Well, what would be your take on it? Like, what is this pointing to?
Are we vetting coaches well enough? Are we vetting them well enough before we're hiring them for these major positions? Are we doing enough research behind the scenes and checking their backgrounds and stuff? Because I think you'd find a lot more in some of these guys, some of what's going on. So, Michigan is doing a full audit on the entire athletic department over this because apparently it's department wide, some of these scandals that are going on in there. So I think my take is are we vetting some of this stuff enough? We're putting millions of dollars in these guys, Scott. Some of these coaches are getting between $5 and $12 million a year to coach these teams. So I guess I just pose it to you, is enough happening at this point?
Well, apparently not. In
these situations, but how about overall? Though?
Yeah, I would think maybe that this is just a sign too that sometimes we need to remember that these guys are football coaches too, right? That they're not scientists or astronauts or Nobel Peace Prizes. Not taking anything away from them as football coaches. You have to be an impressive individual, to get to that level where you'd be considered, obviously, right? Or at least have an impressive resume in the sport of football to be considered to be a head coach at a major college university. But some of it might also be that there's just so much attention, there's so much money, there's so much at stake that it's almost like they become the biggest deal in that state, at that school, right? That there's almost too much importance put on them, and maybe that at some point they kind of feel like they're invincible and they kind of take advantage of that power that comes their way a little bit, right? And so yeah, I don't know. Obviously it's not a great look.
No, it's a black eye for sure
for college football. Right. I think the days of coaches being in it for just they're always in it, I think, to kind of help develop young men. I'm not trying to discount that, but there are so many other things associated with it now. There's big time money, there's big time prestige, there's championships, all that stuff, that come along with it, with the NIL and everything else. That the old days of 1950s, 1960s football, where you
pat them on the back and you run out there together and. We win and we lose together. And now it's like, all right, you guys go win this game. I'm going to LSU.
Well, and the other thing, as we're talking about
Good luck.
As we're talking about this, is that maybe some bad stuff was going on in the 50s and 60s, but we weren't aware of it because we didn't have 24-hour social media.
That's
we didn't
true.
have some of the ways that people can kind of check these people on bad behavior, right? And ways to report it. You go watch. A documentary on Bear Bryant or whatever. I'm not saying Bear did anything like really bad or immoral or anything, but the type of just workouts that he put some of his teams through.
There was some violence involved there.
It's crazy. What they used to do, back in the day. And I'm not sure what it is a sign of exactly, but to me, it just kind of speaks to just the new era of college football and how so much of it is about winning and how much coaches are making and how much power they have. And sometimes when you have that much power, abuses can happen. Or
sometimes more power than even university presidents and chancellors.
Yeah, and sometimes you're willing to kind of overlook something if you think you're going to win because you're feeling so much pressure to win.
Yeah, I understand. Good point. So let's get to these 4 games that teams are trying to win here. So we got the playoffs. We're going to start Friday night in Norman, Oklahoma. Our friend Kalen DeBoer, former Fresno State coach, and Alabama head to Oklahoma to play the Sooners. They've already played once this year in Tuscaloosa, and Oklahoma won that game. Your thoughts on Oklahoma, Alabama?
Really low total in this game, right, Dean?
41, 42?
I figured that was like an automatic overplay for Dean when it gets that low.
We'll see. Keep an eye on it.
I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't know what Dean has, but
keep an eye on it.
That number gets that low. That's usually just an auto play from my man over there. let's see. Oklahoma, good defense, right? The first time these two teams played, I think Alabama won the statistical battle. Mm-hmm. But Oklahoma got a couple big turnovers in that game, a defensive score, I think it was.
They did.
And kind of snuck that one out in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I think the odds makers have this one perfectly. I don't know what to do with this game. To me, it's just kind of a toss-up. Like, I feel like the game's going to come down to a big turnover because when you got, a good defense like you have in Oklahoma,
right.
If Alabama can protect the football, I bet they win this game. Yeah. But if they have, 2+ turnovers, I think they lose.
Alabama's got a few key injuries. The game is in Norman this time, so you get that home crowd, so it's a big deal in the playoffs, so we'll see what happens there. I do have a play on the game, so I'll save it. We got Miami and A&M to start Saturday's action. That game will be at College Station, Texas. Miami sneaks into the playoff, somewhat controversially, but they're in, and now they're going to Texas A&M to play the Aggies. So your thoughts on this game?
Now, by the way, I'm looking forward to seeing, Eugene, Oregon at night, Autzen Stadium, that atmosphere. I'm looking forward to seeing Norman, Oklahoma at night.
Me too.
But one thing that I am sad about is that we won't get to see College Station at night for this atmosphere.
Yeah, because this is the 9
a.m. game. Good game to wake up to on a Saturday, that's for sure. Two good quarterbacks in this game, but also two good defenses. As I was reading a little bit more about it, I think that's one thing that's kind of been overlooked about A&M a little bit this year. I think we know some of the names with Miami. They've got, a couple edge rushers, I think.
Yeah, and they got really good lines on both sides of the ball.
Going to be NFL top picks and things like that. And so, yeah, I have a feeling that this may be more of a defensive battle than we might anticipate. We see Marcel Reed, we see Carson Beck, and we kind of think, okay, we're going to be throwing the ball over the yard and everything. But these are two really good defenses that are going to be battling it out.
Agreed. What Carson Beck are we going to get? That's my biggest question. Marcel Reed's been pretty constant all year. Carson Beck up and down. So we'll see on that one. Now we get to the two really big barking dog games, we'll call them. We got James Madison going to Eugene, like you said. So this is a 21-point spread, Scotty. I know you've got a play on this game, but let's let the viewers know and listeners know what you're thinking.
Well, we've been clear before, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're wrong, Dean. Yeah. That these group of 6 teams that have made the playoff here can be competitive. Mm-hmm. And that's just what I'm hoping for, is that they can be competitive. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. I'll never rule out anything, because as I've said, there is going to be a time where one of these teams, these group of 6 teams, world. Pulls an upset. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen at some point. And I don't want people, I've said this before on our show, but I want to reiterate it, that last year there were blowouts. And they didn't involve group of 6 teams, right? Maybe one of them did, right? Like Boise kind of got dominated a little bit, but that
wasn't even in the first round. That wasn't in the first round. Boise, remember, got the bye.
Right. So before we start going crazy, if these turn out to be 20, 30-point wins, for Ole Miss and Oregon, let's remember that Notre Dame just completely dominated Indiana last year. That Ohio State made Tennessee look silly in the first round last year. Yep. That blowouts happen, even involving 2 teams from Power 4 conferences. And so, do I think 2 teams should be in from the group of 6 every year? No, I don't. I think 1 is plenty.
Agreed.
But I like having 1 that gets an opportunity.
But rules are rules, and we follow the rules.
Yeah. Of these 2, I would say Tulane probably has a better chance of kind of hanging in there into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Just on the fact that they're not playing in Eugene at night, for one, right? Which is going to be tough for James Madison. That's a heck of an environment there.
And they're going back to a stadium they were just in this season, too. So let's get to that game, because I think that's kind of the game everyone's kind of looking forward to. So no Lane Kiffin. Some of Lane's LSU staff will be coaching this team for Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss is playing. Tulane's going in there. They got beat really, really bad earlier this year. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, that was going to be my next point, too, Dean, was that even though they got blown out earlier this year against Ole Miss, I mean, it's a different thing, right? You've got some coaching changes going on at Ole Miss. Who knows what kind of impact that actually has. I don't think it'll be a huge impact on the game, but certainly all the noise around the program has some kind of effect, right? When you have coaches kind of switching roles and this and that, it can kind of throw things a little haywire for a little bit.
Sure.
Then the intimidation factor, like kind of the unknown, like James Madison's going into this in Eugene with the unknown, no idea. We're going into Oregon, right? And so they may be a little shell shocked to start the game. It's not going to happen with Tulane because they've already played this team.
I agree.
Right? And so Again, like, I give Tulane a better chance of staying competitive. Do I think they're going to win the game? No, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, I think if there's a barking dog, it is Tulane. Jake Retzlaff, quarterback, used to be at BYU. He knows big stages. He's been on a big stage before. They just won their conference. It was a very big milestone for them. And like they both have, both James Madison and Tulane both have coaches that are leaving, but they're both coaching these games. They're allowed to coach these games for these schools. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. I'm just happy that we got this. We're here, right? So let's get to the NFL now. We got 4 big games to cover. We got 3 to see, but that'll be later. But tonight, Rams Seahawks, huge game for the NFC West, huge game for the NFC in general for the playoff race. This game's in Seattle. It's about a field goal game. So what are your thoughts on Rams Seahawks?
What a incredible weekend of football we have in front of us, right?
Yeah.
With the playoff.
Kind of disappointed this one's on Thursday night, but I'll digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. I kind of like it. I mean, like, because it's a standalone game, and usually, this time of year, we're stuck with some NFC South battle, between the 3rd and 4th team in the NFC South. So to have a game with this kind of, meaning on a Thursday night.
I would just like to have seen it flex to Sunday night football. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? It should stand alone.
What is the Sunday night game this week?
Oh God, I'm not even sure. So hang on. Just tell me what you think about this game and I'll find it.
Well, Rams Seahawks, obviously, no Devontae Adams in this game for the Rams. It'll be interesting to see, what kind of impact that has. Plus, you got a little noise around the Rams this week with what Puka Nacua was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
Saw that his brother was involved in something, a legal thing today.
Patriots-Ravens, by the way, is the Sunday night
Patriots-Ravens. Yeah, so, I mean, that's a good game, too. That's a good game, too. But I mean, I don't know. Just having a Thursday night game that's this meaningful. I mean, like, they're standalone games. It's what we watch, right? On Thursday night, I'll be watching, even if it was the bad NFC South battle. And so to have a really good game with that's very meaningful, I think it's kind of cool. I think it comes down to that Seahawks defense against that Rams offense.
Agree. It's Seattle's defense. Can they put pressure on Stafford? When you put pressure on him, you make him uncomfortable, he makes mistakes. You give him time to sit back there and throw the ball, he'll kill you. He will. He's got enough weapons to kill you. You got to put pressure on him. You got to make him kind of turtle. If they can't, it's going to be a long night. As for Darnold, he's going to have to produce because the running game's been kind of hit and miss. So he's going to have to hit receivers. And it can't just be Njigba because the Rams are going to focus on 11. Who else do they have? Who else can stretch the field? Because they don't have DK Metcalf anymore. They don't have, they don't have their old guys. So who's going to stretch the field for Seattle? Those are my questions there.
And you got to be able to run the football too. It's kind of the one thing that's always overlooked. In these games is whoever ends up stopping the run and running the football well also has a great chance. I mean, this is a big test for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Obviously the talent is there.
Right.
But in some of the biggest spotlights, he's come up a little short so far. So here's another opportunity to prove that he could be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
True. Watch out for Rams Blake Corum, by the way, tonight. All right, Packers Bears on Saturday. We've got a couple Saturday games this week. This is a big game, for the NFC North, So Packers have to go to Chicago. I'm sure it's going to be cold and windy in Soldier Field. So your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, December football, in Chicago, where you can see the breath in the air, just kind of speaks to George Hallis, Mike Ditka, and Walter Payton, and all those guys, Mike Singletary.
Yes.
Go to YouTube, kids, and look that stuff up.
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
Exactly. So. Packers bet. This is an opportunity for the Bears to announce their arrival. Not only as an NFC North contender and a team that could win that division because they'd have a leg up, obviously, if they win this game.
Right.
And really, I'd probably be one win away from clinching the division if they're able to beat the Packers here tonight. But I think this would announce them as we're a team to be reckoned with in the NFC that we could possibly get to the big game if they can win a game like this.
Packers have done really well on the road this year, won some key road games. Jordan Love. I'm going to give the Packers the edge on this one. So, all right, another important game. This is in the NFC South that could decide the division. Bucks and Panthers. This game is in Carolina, in Charlotte. So your thoughts, Scotty, on this game?
I have no idea. Just like I have no idea from week to week with the Bucks or from week to week with the Panthers. The Bucks got off to that terrific start, and Baker Mayfield, he was kind of the toast of the town there for a while, and it's just unfortunately they've just kind of
many injuries,
fallen flat. They're getting some of those guys back now, though.
There's still some Qs, though. A lot of Qs. Mike Evans, Q, questionable. The running back, Bucky Irving's been in and out of the lineup. Looks like he's going to play. The Carolina Panthers, I mean, you got to give, Dowdle, stepping in, Chuba Hubbard at the running back spot, McMillan, the rookie from Arizona. So this is going to be a tough one. You have a pick on this one?
I would go with the Bucs probably. I just think overall they're a better team than the Panthers. I don't know what to make of the Panthers. I mean, as I said, like these two teams have just been weird. They've been Jekyll and Hyde all year long. I mean, how both of them lose those games last week, I have no idea. Yeah. And so, Bryce Young, I still think the ceiling isn't that high with him. I think he's okay, right? I think he's okay, but I just don't. I think the ceiling for Mayfield is higher. So as long as if Mayfield, doesn't throw 3 picks, I think the Bucs win the game.
Okay, and then Jags Broncos. So this game is in Denver. Trevor Lawrence coming off a 6-touchdown performance, some rushing, some throwing, and now they go to Denver. Probably going to be cold. It's probably be windy. We'll see. You never know. So your thoughts on this game?
Well, my son Cooper was lamenting the fact that he had Trevor Lawrence on his fantasy football bench last week.
Oh, I have him on my bench too, but I also have Drake May. That's a tough one, right?
I get it.
That's a tough.
In his scoring.
Who does Coop have as his starting QB really quick? Who'd be starting in?
I think he was starting Jackson Dart, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Oh, boy. We're going to give him a little bit more credit than that. I think he's got.
I'm not 100% sure,
Go
but
ahead.
But earlier in the year, that would have been a discussion for sure. Yeah, I think in his scoring, like Trevor Lawrence had like 68 points or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I know it was like 44 though in non-PPR and like 60 something in PPR. So,
but we've kind of all been waiting, right? We've been waiting and waiting for Trevor Lawrence, to kind of take that next step. When he was taken, right, I would have thought, oh, this guy's going to step right in and he's going to be a star in the NFL. He's big, he's strong, he can move, he can throw, and it just never quite come together. They've had some moments where they've been okay, but I think you saw last week what he could do when he's really firing on all cylinders. Yeah. This game's in Denver.
This game is in Denver, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing that Bronco defense in Denver in December.
The Orange Crush, Mile High.
This is a great test, for them. And the AFC is kind of interesting, right? Because you got these new players.
Right.
You got the Jags, you got the Broncos, you got the Patriots up there now.
Right.
Then you got the Chiefs already eliminated.
Right.
The Ravens are kind of out of the conversation for now, though not completely done. And then you got that Josh Allen guy just kind of sitting there. And you're like, everything kind of seems to be setting up that if the Bills were ever going to do it, this would be the year. They don't have to deal with the Ravens likely. They don't have to deal with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're going to play somebody like the Broncos or the Patriots in the playoffs. And so I don't know if Buffalo has the full repertoire of a team to be able to do that, to go on the road, however many times they have to go on the road in the playoffs to do it. But the opportunity is there. Things have set up. It's opened up for the Bills.
All right, give me the Broncos. We'll see. Let's get into our money plays. All right, Scotty. Well, we're halfway through our December contest, and we're still about $2 apart from each other. I went 3 of 6, 9-18-46. You went 1 of 1 with the teaser, 9-16-98. So you've got 3 plays real quick. So we're kind of short on time.
That's why Dean was calling me Mr. Teaser, because I've fallen in love with the teaser.
There it is. 2 out of 3.
I'm gonna take another NBA teaser tonight. Okay. I'm gonna move the Nuggets down to -2.5 there, and then I'm gonna. Put them along with the Jazz, bump them up to 14 against the Lakers. Jazz have been playing a little better basketball.
I like that one.
Then I'm going to take a bowl game tonight.
There you go.
Missouri State. They've been kind of a great story, a little under the radar. Yep. They played SC early in the season, got absolutely,
manhandled
big time.
Yes.
But I think it's their first year in FBS.
It is.
They're going to be extremely motivated in this game. By the way, that game features 2 good, experienced quarterbacks who are playing in that game. So maybe take a look at the over in that game as well.
Okay.
And then I'm going to also do a 7-point NCAA
football
football teaser.
One.
I'm going to bump Miami up to 10.5.
I like it.
2 good defenses in that game. I expect this game to be a little bit more low scoring, and so getting 10.5.
And Oregon down to 14 from 21. I like that too.
And then I'm going to take Oregon down to 14 against James Madison. Got to lay -150 on that, but yeah, that's what I'm going with.
All right, I got too many to go over. I'll just say I do have the Rams Seahawks over 42 tonight. I got a couple NBA, NHL, and college basketball play. For college football, give me Oklahoma and 3.5 at home against Alabama. Give me Miami plus 6.5 at home on the road at Texas A&M, and I've got a 2-game parlay there. Ole Miss minus 13.5 against Tulane, and Oregon minus 20.5 against James Madison. About 5 seconds, Scott. Any last thoughts?
Good luck, Dean.
Good luck, Scotty. All right, we'll be back on Monday, and we'll have our bowl game preview. Thanks, guys. This has been the Beem and Dean Show.